Welcome back to Beeps Media. This is going to be a White Sox Wasteland edition. I guess April is the cruelest month is actually from the poem The Wasteland. I am the only member of Beeps Media over here. I'm Nick Schaefer. It's been a long time, but the White Sox have annoyed me enough that I need to come on here and complain a little bit. But to leaven my vitriol, or at least provide a different style or flavor of vitriol, we are very, very lucky to be joined by Jackie. Jackie is Krestel, right? Or is it
It's
Krestel? Or
no, it's Crestel. You got it right the first time.
okay, okay. I have very selective like letter rearranging in my mind. I always look at it. I'm like, I want to say kestrel, like the bird, but
Like the bird.
I don't know why.
No.
Just select words do that for me. But
I
okay,
always
cool.
I always make the joke that my maiden name was Johnson and no one messed that up. So I do
No,
this. I don't have an
no.
unpronounceable name. But you
Yeah, I
got
mean,
it right
mine.
the first time, Nick. Good job.
Okay, okay, and then I hedged in the wrong direction. So that as we record, it's Friday afternoon, April 18th. The White Sox are 4-14, which I think is somehow better than last year to this point. Um, I think they were like 3-22 to start last season. Um, and I'm sure we had a couple of topics that we had talked about, and but I'm sure we'll diverge from them as appropriate as we go on. Um, and I know I'm so inclined to be negative that I'll start with this first topic, which is sort of this. I try to be rational about it, right? Because 2025 is still very young. And so far, I'm just going to say, like, here are some ideas for optimism. Um, their run differential indicates they should have a better record than they do. Um, Even some of the hitters that you think might be league average who haven't been have good peripheral metrics, like Andrew Vaughn and Vargas are like hitting the ball kind of hard. The team's chase rates seem to be like their zone judgment seems to be improving. It seems to be an area of focus. They're not like they're taking, I think they're taking more walks as a team. I'll have to check. They seem to be trying to take more walks. You have some younger guys doing a little bit like Brooks Baldwin's been all right. Mydroth's shown a little bit of why he might be all right. Lenny and Sosa's maybe a major leaguer. I'm rattling off all these huge wins.
I was,
Matt
uh,
Tice has been totally good, and Shane Smith looks awesome. So having, I mean, with that huge abundance of riches, um, does any of this actually resonate with you? Are you buying any of these green arrows upward?
no, I was surprised that you mentioned Andrew Vaughn as a positive with his
Well,
underlying you know, batted ball stats. And I'm like, yeah, he's hitting the ball hard. He's hitting it right into the ground is what he's doing. Um, so,
the old Eric
um,
Campbell.
right. Like I don't he's, I always used to make the joke on the bad side about his size, his physical size. He he doesn't have any power. He can't a
It's
corner infielder shouldn't be hitting what is he like 187 or something
oh,
something
the
like
up to
that.
187. He was like oh
Maybe
90.
I'm thinking of
I'm sure.
Vargas.
No, he
Maybe I'm
did hit a
thinking of
home run.
Vargas.
Okay, as we sit here, Vaughn is hitting 138, um, two home runs, tied for the team lead with two home runs.
Who's the
Um,
other? Who's the other?
there's a few. There's a few. Brooks Baldwin's got two. Nick
Okay.
Maton got two that I didn't
Yeah,
notice, and
he's our big DH right now.
that's true. That's true. When you get a hulking slugger like that, I mean, that's what you get. And Benintendi popped two. He had looked decent before he got hurt. It looked like he
He
was.
did. I was sad to see him go down because he was looking a lot better.
Yeah.
No, which go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah, yeah.
I
No. All you. Your guest goes first.
okay. Okay. I was gonna say like I when you mentioned Andrew Vaughn, I'm like, I know I haven't been paying that close attention to like the advanced stats, but I'm gonna dig into this a little bit because what is Nick talking about with Andrew Vaughn? And yeah, I don't know what you're talking. I'm not sold on Andrew Vaughn at all. In fact, I think he he needs to spend some time in Charlotte. I don't understand why
Yeah.
he's got like a million options and we haven't optioned him down yet. on earth are we waiting for?
I know it's really awkward because, and this is one of the 8,000 problems with hiring Chris Getz as your GM, is that while he's simultaneously like, well, I'm not wedded to the old regime, like if the number three overall draft pick, who was a super polished college hitter, can't hit to save his life while you were like presiding over his time in the minors, albeit, Vaughn had a weird and short time in the minors due to COVID and so on, and the team's desperation. It's not like a great look. I suppose they're saying we're not going anywhere. Vaughn has more pedigree than anyone else we could play at first base. We might as well say, here's your last chance. I mean, like, okay, so here are the slightly positive indicators. None of them are even great. Um, his hard hit percentage is like solidly above average. He doesn't swing and miss very much. Um, that's about it. I mean, there's some balls in play that I'd like just anecdotally watch where I'm like, oh yeah, like that could have been a little luckier. Maybe if the weather were a little warmer, that would have been a better, get a better result. But like, no, just to be clear, that was not an endorsement of optimism from me. These are like, here
Okay.
are things one could point to say like they've gotten unlucky or maybe some of the process is better. Vaughn, it's really bizarre because and my draft is kind of an interesting foil because he's so passive would be the pejorative framing, but his goal is to like draw a walk. Like that's why he's up there. And Vaughn in college was this sort of like contact walks like monster with like enough power that he would like keep you honest. Like you couldn't just pound the zone because he could actually do some damage with it. And you're right, like, but in the majors, he just doesn't seem to hit the ball he can't like punish it at all. Um, and
No, and
it's
the problem with
depressing.
him, yes, and the problem with him too is when he was hitting the ball in college, he was uh primarily just drilling down fastballs. He's a fastball hitter, right? Um,
Yeah.
it's it's like the movie Major League, like straight ball he hits very much, curveballs the guys are scared. Um, and that's kind of what like so I kind of feel like almost like it's a false flag with his power because like yeah I you know anybody who played in college can hit a fastball unless you're just horrible. But so the problem with Vaughn is now like he's not hitting fastballs anymore either.
It's not
Like
great.
his no like so he's not great. I am not an Andrew Vaughn truther. I don't I'm not a fan. I think he should spend some time in AAA.
Yeah, I
I would
was
rather see
willing.
Edgar Caro at first base.
Oh, interesting. I mean, when Corey Lee comes back, you might do a little of that. Um, just because, actually, and this is pretty. I had a little fun fact that I just caught as I was coming in because can you name the top four players on the White Sox position players on the White Sox this year by Baseball Reference wins above replacement?
Oh
Obviously, tiny
goodness.
sample, fielding metrics, blah 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 blah. But I just thought it was amusing. Um,
Position players?
yeah, I mean, because obviously, like Martin Perez,
I was
Shane
gonna
Smith, they're
say.
doing great.
I
Like,
was-
yeah,
okay.
they're perfectly representative first three, four starts for those guys. But
Um. So it might be Benintendi before he went down. Is he one?
he's third despite
Okay.
35 plate appearances, but he's been an
Okay.
above average hitter. So
Okay. Um. Is it Brooks Baldwin? Is it him?
no, weirdly enough.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find him on here. Baldwin is below replacement. I suspect that might just be BR hates his defense, which doesn't
Okay.
necessarily mean anything. And um,
Okay.
you know,
I would be very surprised if it was Miguel Vargas. Is it Miguel Vargas?
it is absolutely not Miguel.
Okay.
He-
Let me go through. I mean, it might be Corey Lee. I don't think it's. I don't think it's Luis Robert Jr. I don't
It's
think it's
not,
him.
sadly.
Um. Okay, Nick, who's on there?
So Corey Lee is second, despite having not played
Oh
for
my God,
like
who's
half the
first? Who am I
season.
missing?
Matt Tice. Matt Tice, who,
Really?
yeah, I mean, it's like if you're a catcher with a 400 on base percentage, you're going to be positive.
Yeah.
So he's on track. If these holds, this holds, he will be like an average starting catcher. Um, The fourth one was the one that really cracked me up. Was
Michael A. Taylor.
no, no,
Ah,
that would also he's well, I guess now that I look at it, he's tied with this guy, or the tiebreaker has him below. So
okay.
I'll give that to you. Mike Talkman in 3 games.
You know what? I knew when they signed Mike Talkman, I was like, is he gonna be my favorite White Sox this year? Because he just,
He's competent.
when his hamstring is, yes,
Yes, yeah.
he might be a replacement level player. Um, no, I remember Talkman from, well, my husband is a Cubs fan, so I saw a lot of Talkman last year, and I don't know, he's scrappy.
Yeah, I mean he was fine on the Yankees for a while. I remember that.
Hmm.
If he ever can stay on the field, like you said.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's the position player stuff is really bleak. Vaughn, this kind of ties into a sort of I do a podcast called the White Sox Wasteland. I was the negative guy even when the 2019 upswing was happening. Um, but even so, even for me, sometimes I zoom out and I feel like this sort of panic about the position player group because even like let's say you came into the season, you're like, all right, Vaughn, here you're 27, your development got screwed up by COVID and us shoving you in right field, and which you've never, why were you in the outfield at all? The vibes are awful. The information you're getting is awful. We've got a new hitting coordinator coming into the season healthy, like you're playing first base. Here's your shot. And
Hmm.
I guess what freaks me out as I think about it is like what like let's say he did post like a 120 OPS plus, right? Like a normal, pretty decent first baseman sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess my question is like, okay, and then what? Like, and
Right.
then to what end? Like, are you going to trade him to somebody? Are you just going to keep him around until because he's coming up on, I mean, this is his fifth season. I mean, he's not
Hmm.
under team control much longer, even if you want to pick up, offer him a contract this next year. So it's like, where is that? Like some of these moves are starting to be not even like, I don't think they'll work, but it's
Hmm.
like, even if it works as well as you could reasonably hope, it doesn't do anything for you. And that's kind of that's sort of this horrifying moment. Vargas, it's kind of the same deal where I thought, because I know that he had, I think James Fegan's written about this a lot. He had like he just like physically wore down at the end of last year. And so he had this sort of off-season instruction like, hey, get yourself in shape, like get yourself ready to play a full 162 games. You'll be at third base. We won't jerk you around anymore. I was like, yeah, I mean, he could probably be like a league average hitter. I mean, he can't hit
Yes,
velocity, but he has an
and he
idea of
doesn't
what
have
he's
enough
trying to do.
power. He doesn't
But
have enough power for a corner infielder for my taste. And like, yeah, I
no.
mean, and I'm tired of hearing like, oh, he put on 20 pounds of muscle, came into shape, camp best shape of his life. That's great. Where I don't see any fruits of that labor quite yet. I mean, it has his hard hit ball percentage gone up with all those 20 pounds of muscle.
I'll pull it up while we're chatting.
I know
I
that he
don't know
doesn't
where it
have
was
any
last
home
year.
runs. I know that he doesn't have any home runs.
No,
But he's
and no, this is his average exit velocity is 91.8, which is 77th percentile.
yeah.
Um, but I don't know, it's not optimized at all. Um, he's, clearly you watch him hit and it's like, he works the count, he gets a pitch that looks like reasonable to swing at, he makes contact with it, and then it just doesn't go anywhere. And it's he may have gained 20 pounds, but I don't know of what because it doesn't seem to be like useful. Um,
Well, I mean, he's certainly like off to a better start this season than he did last, and yeah, he was kind of run down. But I think being traded from the Dodgers to the White Sox will do that to just about anybody. So I don't blame him for that. But and in fact, like when he came over here, I was talking to some of my Dodger friends, and I asked them like, okay, well, tell me about Miguel Vargas because I don't know that much about him. And my friend told me like, well, his his draw is his offense. It's not really his defense. It's going to be his offense. That's where you're going to make your bread and butter. Where? Where is it?
No, it's
I
it's it's weird because he was like a well-regarded prospect.
yeah.
His whole deal was like, yeah, where are you going to play him? And the White Sox seem to have turned him into a functional third baseman defensively.
Mhm.
And that's what's terrifying is the bat's completely collapsed. There's no power. And now again, it's the same thing I was getting at with Andrew Vaughn. Like, okay, let's throw out April. Let's say he rallies and becomes a slightly above average hitter who can play third base. Like that's nice.
Mhm.
But he's already also like he's not super young either. He's 25. He's going to be 26. I think during this year, and it's like this team is going to lose 100. Well, how many games is this team going to lose, Jackie?
Over 100.
Hmm.
Hopefully less than 121.
Do you?
I'm gonna put it at like 115.
Okay, okay. Like what the number that gets that he expected last year, and he was surprised when it was one all the way up to
Is that what he
120.
said? I don't. I try not
He,
to listen to Chris Getz when he talks.
I know it's well, I have I clearly have an illness where I need to seek out the GM's quotes and get really angry about them. He said something last year about like, well, yeah, I mean, I expected we'd be losing a bunch of games, but maybe like 110 if things went crazy. So this is like, or if things went real bad, but it's like he was still trying to frame it as the like never admit you made any mistakes thing when
Yeah.
you've clearly like crashed a plane. Um, oh yeah, this was all part of the plan,
Right.
sort of thing. Um, no, but if you lose that many games, like it's pretty hard to imagine this team even being what 500-ish within the next 2 years. So at that point, even if Miguel Vargas is a second division starter at third base, and he's what 27, 20, like what the hell are you doing with that either? Like what's that do for you?
Right.
I don't understand how that helps you.
And that
Um,
speaks to a larger problem where I don't understand where what Chris Getz feels the big picture is. Because this season, where have we improved this season from last? Maybe defensively a bit.
I would I would assume so just because it'd be like impossible to be as bad as they were last year, but I would have said
Yeah.
that going into last year
Yeah,
too.
that's a
Um,
dangerous game. That's a
That's a
dangerous
very good
game.
question. One simple way to test that, because defensive metrics are sneaky. So I'm gonna try to avoid typing so much on the audio, but I like to just pull up like team-based pitching BABIP and sort of like the lower your team's BABIP, it's a rough approximation for like how many balls in play is your defense converting into outs.
Hmm.
And it looks like the White Sox are doing pretty well on that. Team BABIP is 270. Obviously, pitchers can have some influence on quality of contact. Um, it can be noisy too. I mean, the White Sox have played some pretty middling offenses to date as well. So, take it with a grain of salt. But the defense has been, and just off the top of my head, like, you know, Luis Roberts been out there every day. Michael Taylor's been out there in the outfield. He's a good defender. Jacob Amaya has been playing a ton. He's like a decent shortstop. So it's like, yeah, this is like
Did you
a
just say Jacob Amaya is a decent shortstop?
defensively, just
Okay.
purely defensively.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
no,
Okay.
he's this year's Maldonado for where it's like, dude, Chris, are you going to keep showing up at the office every day and let this guy OPS like 250 for like how
Right.
long is you going to let him
Yeah.
do
I mean,
this?
legitimately, what is the long-term plan here? Are we putting all of our eggs in a Colson Montgomery basket? Is this
I
what we're
hope
doing?
not.
Is that who we're gonna build a team around? Because do you think that you're gonna like pull a rabbit out of a hat and get Jerry to spend out at free agency time? Like what is the long-term plan? Who are the core pieces? Who are we building around? And I don't see this season as anything other than treading water. I don't see a big picture coming into light for me. Am I missing it? Because I don't see it.
No, I mean, and that segues really into my question of that it's like where you're at with your fandom, where it's like I don't know if you still watch the games or
I
to what
do,
extent.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, so when you're watching, like, what's your sort of mindset? Like, what are you hoping for anything in particular? Are you, yeah, like what's your perspective?
I really honestly I take it game by game. I am like a single game fan at this point. Are we going to win this game? Because I think if I look too much past that, I'm only going to get upset. And there is too much in the world to get upset about. And I don't want to go looking for things to be upset about. So I really, I like seeing the younger guys kind of develop in real time because I'm not, we were talking pre-show, like we're both parents, we have young kids. I don't have a lot of time to follow what's happening in Birmingham and what's happening
Mhm.
in Charlotte. So to bring up some of these young guys is exciting for me because I get to see them kind of develop in real time and see how that's going. I would love to see, like when Corey Lee went down, I said, "Oh boy, it's Kyle Teal time, right?" Um, or even
Mm.
Edgar Caro time, but it was neither of those times, and I don't understand that. Like, if you have nothing to be excited about, let us get excited about the prospects that you're bringing in. I don't feel like there's any harm in bringing them up. Let me see them.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point about the long, like what's the long-term plan? I have a lot of inferences I can draw. One thing that I think, okay, Gats brought in Bannister. They're going to do this pitching development thing. I can see sort of the ideas that they have. I can see that some of them seem to be bearing fruit. Um, and that's cool. That seems to be that seems to be a very doable thing, and they have things that they can point to where they're like, look, we know what we're doing. We've had some good results. Um,
Right,
but
they had good luck with the Rule 5 draft. Shane Smith
yeah,
is rocking it.
yeah,
Our
he's awesome.
changeup, we're looking awesome. And that's, well, maybe I'm stepping on your toes a little
Yeah,
bit, but I mean, like that's kind of the point. Like, yeah, we can point to these little successes and that's great, but what are we working towards? Is that the goal? Is that the goal, to have some feel good stories that get some butts in the seats? Because I
yeah.
don't want
I
that to be our goal.
no, me neither. I think that seems to be one competitive advantage they're trying to create. And they say, well, I guess you say you develop pitchers and then you trade them, but for
For
the other things
what?
you need, but they're really bad at that. They're really, really bad at like this is what was like low key what killed one of the main causes of death on the Rick Hahn rebuild was that he just kept getting massacred in trades and gets maybe worse at it. It's kind of terrifying. Um, the so you can say, all right, we got Crochet, we shine him up, we flip him out, we get four prospects for him, and then you turn $1 into 5 quarters or something. um that's hard to keep doing. I don't. I'm also going to kind of be stepping on the toes of a 3/4 delivery episode that should be coming out any day now that I did over at Baseball Prospectus with Jeff, where the germ of the podcast was that I'm furious about the Hagen Smith draft pick because of how I'm increasingly viewing the role of like pitcher value and where you
Mm-hmm.
get good pitchers from. Because Shane Smith's an example. Cole Reagans for Kansas City is like incredible. Tariq Skubal, like these were not high draft picks. These were not guys that you traded, you know, star players for, or, these were just these are player development wins. And on the pitching side, you can do that so much more easily. They pitch fewer and fewer innings every year. They all get injured so fast because they all throw so hard. It's like I could go on and on. Like leverage, like leaning that hard in pitching seems to be kind of fraught to me when teams are also not giving up hitters in trades, and free agent bats, if they ever become free agents, cost like $500 million. So it's just like the offense thing to me is what's really scary. I think um
The offense has been horrible,
yeah, and
really, really
it's
bad.
the other thing is it's year two. of the full year two of the Chris Getz experience. And like you're saying, okay, I can like I'm happy that Mydroth got called up, Caro finally got called up, but we got Narvaez first. Like you said, like, oh, what this is so disappointing. This team's
Right.
old. This team's like even if you sign Talkman and Slater, and like, yeah, those guys are better than what you had last year in right field. But
Mhm.
so what? Like nobody's trading for these guys. Maybe you get a what an old double A relief prospect that you think is interesting, like you did with Robbie Grossman, but like
Yeah.
why shouldn't we be finding like Jose Siri types who are like tool goofs who
Yeah.
if you ever get super lucky they might actually turn into a plus player that you keep for a while instead of like
I mean,
retreads with low ceilings,
and
high floors.
that seems to be like in the past 10, 15 years, the path that the White Sox have chosen to take is trying to go dumpster diving and see what we can do. And the problem is Getz is no good at it. Getz is no good at it.
No,
You
no,
know, I
no.
was listening to I think it was Sox in the Basement. I was listening to, and Chris said something like, "If you DFA'd the entire roster right now, nobody would pick anybody up, like with a few exceptions, with a few
Yeah, I mean,
exceptions."
obviously, like there,
Right.
you know, I could think of a handful of guys, but yeah, it's a lot of these guys are just bad money at this point. Um,
Hmm.
and it's not to say nobody would use like put Mike Talkman on a roster, or nobody would put, if Slater was healthy, come August, every team needs like some team needs a platoon bat somewhere that's
Hmm.
sure, like they're major league players, but they're not. You're not trading them for anything of
Right.
consequence.
We had that situation last year, Nick, and what did we do with Tommy Pham? What did we get for Tommy Pham? When we
Oh,
turned him around. You know?
oh. Uh, ugh. Like I think
Yeah.
Gerald Perez is like neat, but again, he's sort of like he strikes me as more of the like Brooks Baldwin-y Mydroth type, where yeah, you might get a second division starter or like a cool bench player out of him, but
Yeah.
Albertus hasn't. I don't think Albertus has played yet. He was the Fetty trade they traded Fetty and Kopech and Pham, and they got Vargas, Daryl Perez, and Albertus. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. Albertus was injured when they traded for him. I don't think he's played since. Um,
Who's the
Vargas, we've already
DFA? Is
talked
that
about.
no, that was Crochet. Never mind.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the fourth. I can't remember the name of the pitcher they got for Crochet. Um,
He
no,
was
Braden
okay.
Montgomery was also hurt when they acquired him. But it's no, I actually wrote out. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten any of these trades. I'm sure I could Google it, but I'm holding a newborn in one hand and just writing on a sheet in the other hand for memory.
Hmm.
Here's some Chris Getz trades for you.
Oh.
He comes in what August 2023. All of a sudden, Soto starts throwing like 30 pitches an outing and gets hurt, and so they trade him for Prelander Baroa, who's basically the same guy but worse. He gets hurt, and Zach Deloach, is he even in the? I don't know if he's even in the
I don't
organization
even think
anymore.
he's playing. Yeah.
Christian Mena got traded for Dominic Fletcher.
I
I don't know
like
where Dominic
Dominic
Fletcher. I
Fletcher.
thought I thought it was a cute idea, so I won't kill him too much. We just talked about the Fetty trade. You got a you got a really bad major leaguer and a totally mid prospect, and that's it.
Hmm.
Dylan Cease was traded for Drew Thorpe and like a whole bunch of other stuff that seems filler. I don't really know. Like Iriarte might
No.
be a reliever. I don't. Who cares? Grossman
I
and
was so
DeYoung.
excited. I was so excited for Drew Thorpe. I had high hopes
Me
for him.
too.
And but then once the honeymoon stage is over, you're like, oh, and no, there was a reason that no other team was shopping for him. There was a reason.
Um, we got Tanner Banks for a random slap hitting infielder. We got
Tanner Blanks.
uh,
Let's go.
yeah, playoff hero for the Phillies. Grossman and DeYoung for relievers and relief prospects who I don't know where the hell they are. They're not. You'd think they'd be up by now if they were any good because they were relief prospects and they're in the upper minors. Aaron Bummer for five completely pointless players. These are the trades. Like this is what he's done. Obviously, I omitted Crochet.
Hmm.
You mentioned Kyle Teal. Do you have any like thoughts on Kyle Teal, or is it just sort of a like, yeah, I don't know.
It's more that I don't understand why with Corey Lee hurt,
Mhm.
why we can't. I mean, I've heard arguments that you don't want to start the clock on him, but who can I swear on this podcast?
Oh yeah, go nuts. Yeah.
Who the fuck cares about the clock? What are you wait like it would be different if you had some, an established team that maybe you were maybe on the fringe of kind of playoff contention or something like that. But that's not this team. Are you just going to let him waste away, you know, forever? Who cares about starting the clock on him? It's not a Chris Bryant situation.
And
It's
also, starting the clock on Chris Bryant didn't wind up mattering because he wound up breaking down and not being that good by the end of the seventh
well,
year that they clawed back, which I take no pleasure in. I felt really bad for how he was treated.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, no, totally. Like, you need to be, who's the prospect you would need to be for that? Like, okay, Christian Campbell signs an extension and he's called up and Christian Campbell is probably going to be a superstar. Kyle Teal's whole thing, like his whole sales pitch was supposed to be a good, not amazing, a good defensive catcher who could do a little bit of everything on offense. Is like a decent hit tool, a little bit of
he's
power, can run a
he's
little
an
bit. Like
AJ Pierzynski. He's an AJ Pierzynski, right?
Przinsky was like, I think that's unfair to Przinsky's like hit tool. Like I don't think Teal is going to be like a perpetual, and I guess it's a different universe. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the comp. It's like I jack of all trades, master of none sort of guy. Um, when that trade hit, um, I guess how I felt. I wasn't very high on what they got back for him. I'm sure you're shocked. And it's
Yeah.
it's like it's kind of cheating because if you just say every move the White Sox makes is bad and stupid, you'll be right most of the time. But
True.
like it was a genuine thought. I mean, Braden Montgomery's gotten off to a decent start, which is more than I expected because you're telling me a guy who couldn't make contact in college is going to learn how to make contact in the pros after a
Mm-hmm.
devastating leg injury. I don't. It wasn't going to be my bet, but um, yeah, it's grim. I think it is weird to me that we're this far along and this team is this old and boring. It's weird. Like I don't. You look at like until Mydroth and Kara got called up, it was Brooks Ball. It's kind of a miracle that Lenny and Sosa wasn't replaced by a Nicky Lopez type because Lenny and Sosa, it's a long shot, but he at least has given some indication that he has some like interesting, like he could be an interesting hitter.
Yeah.
Even if it's like I said, a long shot. He hit very well in the high minors as a very young guy. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, do you do you have? I actually really struggle with this. Have like a positive hot take for this though? Is there anything where you're like, no, I think this guy kicks ass, or this part of it's really going to work, or um,
Oh man, when you asked me for a positive hot take, like I struggled with that too, and I was thinking about like long-term players, and I could so like my hot take was going to be like, no, I think we got a 4 game set with Boston coming up, and I think we're going to take 3 or 4. That was my positive hot take.
hell no, that's a great positive hot take. I love
I
it.
think we're going to
I
take
mean,
so it because I think it's Perez, Smith, Cannon.
mm,
Who else? Uh, I don't know who else is starting, but like I felt like we could grab 3 out of those 4, especially after
yeah,
seeing Boston last week. I'm like,
they're not
okay,
that
so
great.
Boston's kind of not shit. So,
I think Bregman should take very long parental leave for a lot of reasons. I think that's the responsible thing to do. Um, you do kind of touch on a point where I- they've done a decent they've cobbled together decent starting pitching. Like they've
yeah,
out of not much investment, and that's to the credit of, like I said, with what they have set up, like good for them. And that's even with they did have a lot of injuries to their sort of starting pitcher six and beyond depth, and they're still
what
chugging along.
was
But
it you that had the stat like in spring training? Like, oh no, maybe it was Daisy, who had like 6 or we had 6 people go down with Tommy John
mm,
surgery.
oh, maybe yeah, like oh yeah, I think I know who you're talking.
Yeah,
I'm so bad. I have like aphasia with actual handles. I'm like, oh, I'd recognize the name and the
EV
assemblage of
and then
letters, but yeah,
EV
yeah, yeah.
from Entourage.
Uh, yeah, because it was like Baroa, was it Adams, Thorpe? Who was the other starting pitcher guy that was? Oh, Kai Bush.
Yes.
Yeah, a bunch of dudes, and a couple other relievers. No, that's part of why I was so mad they drafted Hagen Smith because I was like, you don't need to like, what do you
Yeah.
like? Well, first of all, it's like, oh well, then you get Schultz and Smith, and you have these two really amazing left-handed starting pitchers. And I've said this joke before, but it's like, man, can you imagine the White Sox with two really good left-handed starting pitchers? Like the world would be
Oh.
at their feet. Um,
Anyway.
but yeah, like you guys are good at this. Like you guys can churn out SP4s and fives like crazy. Like you're fine. Good for you. Like don't stop trading for more of them. Stop trading for Drew Sorps and everything. You don't need to. Um so okay, no,
So
I think that dovetails nicely with your fan perspective. You're like, I'm watching the game, I'm enjoying the game where I can. Let's root for them to win 3 out of 4 here. Um that
I
works
also
for
just
me.
I also just think that this year's team is it's a little bit funner to watch than last year's team. And I think it's because there are all like I said this on another podcast, but you cannot be a fan of the Chicago White Sox without having something inside you that makes you perpetually root for an underdog.
Mm.
Um, and I feel like this team is a team of underdogs, a team of unproven people that were on the fringes of the league that are getting these chances. And it's hard, like, especially when they are likable guys. Um, you know, pretty much anyone except Mike Clevinger. Like, maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay. Um, but I mean, Shane Smith is hard not to root
Oh
for.
yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
did you see
with
his
Garcon.
no, I didn't see that.
Oh,
Brooke is it Brooke Fletcher?
yeah, she did
She
some
had
on
his
him.
she did like the little fun like the 3 questions about him where one
Hmm.
of them was which fictional character would you want to eat a meal with? And he put Aragorn. And I loved that so much. I was like, because how many of these
I
guys
love
are going to be
it.
like, oh, Michael Corleone or whatever, like, Tony
Well, people
Montana,
say
like,
Jesus, Jesus.
yeah. Well, they wouldn't say he was a fictional character, would they?
Oh, it's fiction. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't mean
yeah,
to
yeah.
offend anybody. I thought it was just like what person. Because I
On
remember like
on Good
since.
Friday, no less, Jackie.
Oh,
No,
so
I'm just
sorry.
no, no, no. It's fun. It's. I'm so
I
glad that
thought it just
happened.
meant. I remember like that was Dylan Cease's answer. Like, who would you like to have dinner with? He's like, Jesus.
Yeah, historical figures, I guess, is also an interesting question.
Yeah.
But yeah, he put
John
Aragorn, so I was like,
Snow.
sick, like,
He's a
good
nerd.
choice. Yeah, and also like, yeah, a good choice. Like, he would
Yeah.
not just random. Like, I don't think Legolas would be that interesting. Um, but um, so no, these guys are, yeah, they're the players. I like Brooks Baldwin.
Hmm.
Cool player development win already. Like I've
Mike
always,
Vassell. I've heard some stories
yeah.
about him, like being like a little goofball. I'm like, yeah, I
Oh,
like a little
really?
goofball. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Didn't Davis Martin make some reference to
Hmm.
him being fun?
Or like
Um,
coming up with nicknames or something like, oh, that's Vassell's shit. You know.
I,
And you
I
know what
his,
else? I like Will Venable. I like
yes,
Will Venable.
yeah.
And I'm so sorry that I didn't prepare more, but that's just anecdotally. Like whenever I feel like because when I played softball, I was a pitcher. I tend to see games more from a pitching perspective than anything else. And so when I'm watching games and just anecdotally, whenever I feel like a pitcher is losing his stuff a little bit, and I always say out loud to myself, like, who's up in the pen? There is always someone up in the pen. I've never
Mm,
like I've been impressed with his relief pitching management. Um, I I see. I feel like he is maybe not our not maybe he's definitely not our long term manager, but like for this team, for this group of little scrappy dudes, I think he's been great. I have no complaints so far about Will Venable, except maybe stop batting Andrew Vaughn cleanup. I don't know how that's gonna keep working for you, but
yeah. I mean, he was running those like I saw. I think it was yesterday where I said, I was like, oh yeah, 2, 3, 4 was Robert, Vargas, and Vaughn. And it's like, yeah, I get why you would like in theory those are your 3 big guys, but like, oh man, they have not been so
I've been
far.
so disappointed in Luis Robert Jr. He is not what we were promised. He
No,
is not what we were promised.
so I'm gonna I'll join in the Venable thing. Like after Grifol and Tony La Russa, it's nice to have someone where it's like nothing you're doing screams to me that you're a total moron. You seem fine, which
Hmm.
is just like galaxies better than what we've had. Like, he's playing Jacob Amaya a lot. I get that he's not spoiled for choice, so um, but yeah, I think he seems to know his. It was a little thing, and I skeeted about it. Are they called skeets?
They
It
are called
feels.
skis. I usually just say post. I posted
I
about it.
posted. Good call. All right, I
Yeah.
posted about this. Um, somebody, I think it was probably Sax Machine, was talking about how like Martin Perez is this extreme fly ball pitcher, and I was like, oh, I guess if I had Martin Perez, I would run Michael Taylor out there and let in a corner every game he's pitching. And I went back and looked at 3 starts. They have so far
I
every
did.
single game. Maybe he
I
was
did see
facing a
that
lefty
post
every
too.
time, but
Yeah.
oh, thank. And
Yeah.
I was like, that's what like a decently clever thing to do.
Mhm.
I don't know that Pedro Gafal would put those thoughts together. Maybe it's random. I don't know. But yeah, he seems it's so much more pleasant than like
Yeah.
wasting these brain cells of like, what are you doing, dude? Like, yeah, the just
And
the cortisol
and
reaction.
I tend to like managers who are former players that can relate to the especially like the younger guys a little bit more. And that's if I had one criticism of Will Venable, and I don't really know what I'm looking for exactly, but with Luis Robert not really hitting on all cylinders or many cylinders at all 20 games into the season, like maybe it's time to take Luis Robert aside, put your arm around him, like, and figure something out. um,
Yeah, I well, that's so my positive hot take. I was really struggling with this
I want
because
to hear it.
like saying Shane Smith is really cool is not a hot take. I mean, it's just he's a Rule 5 pick who's got an ERA of like 1.5 or something with good
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, that's not a hot take. Um, I do like that Mydroth, it's like, oh, cool. It's fun to see a player who's like a plate discipline goof, like our own Dave Magadan sort of thing, because we don't get those on this team. But again, not a hot take. So my hot take is that Luis Robert is fine and is still going to be awesome.
Okay.
Because it's a
Okay.
hot take, and this is like I don't go all in on the Statcast stuff. I think they're useful tool depending on how you use them. His bat speed is still insane. His
Hmm.
bat speed is still insane. His sprint speed is still insane.
Yeah, he
We've
can steal some bases if he ever gets on.
Yeah, and to me that signals that he's healthy. If his bat speed is really good and he's still running well, so it's just it's going to take a lot to convince me that a healthy Luis Robert is bad. It's just I'm not there yet. It could be that the White Sox broke yet another talented guy because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
I
News at
don't know if
10.
that's
But
it. I just think he's
yeah,
not as talented as maybe I had originally thought.
but
You
like he's
know?
shown it too, right? Like he's had stretches, like extended stretches of being a an all-star caliber player. It's just it feels like he needs it's kind of like the Moncada thing where he needs time to get into this, like get everything together and get into a rhythm, and then every time he's about to, he gets hurt. Um, so that's not, I mean, it's not great. It's not like he has this amazing feel for hit that he can just fall out of bed and make contact. But
Hmm.
it's just, I'm waiting for him. I hope he gets to another team before it's like too late. Like before he's completely ruined. But like if he's still 95th percentile in bat speed and sprint speed, I'm gonna be sitting there being like, no, it's still possible for him to. Maybe it's
It
you
is.
know lower batting average than you'd hope, lower on base than you'd hope. But if you're a really good center fielder who's hitting 30 homers, then it's
Hmm.
pretty hard to be like bad.
Hmm.
So that's my positive hot take.
Very good.
Um, what was what's your? Do you have a negative hot take?
I
It's
do.
hard to have a negative hot take too, weirdly, at this team
No,
because this team just kind of is what it is, right?
I do, and I'm so sorry that I have to vocalize it.
Go for it.
I think Clevenger is going to clear waivers, and I think
Uh,
he's going to end up in our minor league system.
you're it happened already.
Did it? Did I miss it? Oh
He
my
he's on.
god!
He was been assigned to Charlotte.
No.
Yeah,
When did today?
like 2 hours ago.
I was dealing with my kids. It happened.
No, I
Okay,
don't.
first of
Not
all,
a
I
not a
swear to
criticism.
God,
You're
I
clearly
didn't know
correct.
that. I I swear to God, I didn't know that.
No, of course, no, clearly.
Oh,
Yeah, it's let me see. It
he's
was
assigned to Charlotte.
Lamont Pope, Mike Clevenger cleared waivers, has been outrighted to AAA Charlotte.
Motherfucker. All
I
right.
know, I know. It's yeah, Crystal said this cockroach will never die. Um
Yeah, cockroaches don't die.
And Tyrone said, at every possible opportunity, 29 teams loudly proclaim they are happy not to be in the Mike Clevenger business. Um, so no, I mean, that's a you've got a Beeps Media first of a hot take that is 1,000% correct instantly.
I'll
No,
try to
it's
think of
he's
another one. I'll try to think of another one.
yeah, I mean, it's so as long as like him being around really changed the vibe from like, oh, these guys just don't have any talent to like, I hate these guys and I hope they lose.
Hmm.
Because he's just the worst. I mean,
I very literally turn off the games when he's on the mound because I don't want to see his stupid face. I don't want to see his lackluster fastball. I don't want to see his shit not move. I don't want to see him walk in a go ahead run. I don't want any part of that person on the
no,
team that I root for.
no, I mean like this like at every opportunity, he's like the least pleasant thing you could possibly be, where there's the meaningful stuff of like being hideously violent and awful to his family. Allegedly, don't sue me because now you're not playing baseball much anymore these days, Mike. But like we know it is public record that he broke COVID rules and lied about it. Then he got dumped to San Diego, and then he like called out Fernando Tatis's professionalism and maturity, which like that's a mirror, buddy. And then the gold digger
Yeah, the
incident,
Kanye thing. Yeah,
the
love
and
that shit.
just and then Getz and Grifal going out and bending over backwards to talk about what an awesome guy he is and how much they love having him around. Uh,
Get
really,
said
really.
Get
Oh,
said the
go.
same thing about Omar Vizquel
Yeah.
when that thing happened. So
Still waiting to
I
find out what happened with Wes Helms, his other manager that he hired. Something happened.
I don't know.
No,
Oh, that is such a bummer. That's
I
such a
know,
bummer.
and this bullpen is not good enough to keep these morons away from the siren song of that terrible. Even if he was a good guy, I guess it wouldn't clearly it wouldn't annoy me as much. But even if he were a good dude, his pitching style, he's also hideous to watch. I mean, like Aroldis Chapman had his DV thing, and it's like I wouldn't want anything to do with him. But at least I can. This is not a you have under any circumstance you don't have to hand it to ISIL, but it was like at least the teams were just like we don't care about morality, we don't care about off the field, we don't care about anything, but he throws really hard. It's like, well, he did at least throw really hard. Like they were right.
Right.
Like they
Yeah.
weren't also it wasn't also a bad eval on the field too. It's like it doesn't matter, but it just makes me feel like you
Right.
guys are humiliating yourselves for like the worst pitcher in the sport. I
Right.
don't get it.
Winning fixes everything, and the White Sox can't win. So why I don't understand why we have to throw our. Oh, that's so
No,
depressing.
at least Han had some plausible deniability. Getz didn't twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Stop. I'm sorry to the good people of Charlotte that he's in your city.
He'll be back up
Until,
here soon. Don't worry about it.
ugh,
I
come
know.
on, Penn Murphy, get your act together
Pen
so we can keep him.
Murphy. I like
Yeah,
Pen Murphy.
I know. I thought he was gonna be decent. He had been good before he got hurt, but
Opening day, I was like, again, because I didn't watch too much spring, I'm like, who is Pen Murphy? Because he looked really good today, and
he,
didn't
he
hear
was.
much from him after that.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to Five and Dive often, the Baseball Prospectus, and Patrick Dubuque had flagged him as I didn't know who he was, and Patrick Dubuque was like, yeah, he's probably the best reliever in their bullpen in the season previews, and I think because Patrick's a Seattle guy, and I was like, yeah, all right, cool, Patrick knows what he's talking about. I mean, I guess that's what's weird to me too is so like my negative hot take that I'd prepared was that the Fetty trade is like I hated the Fetty trade and it's like even worse than I thought. But we kind of already covered that, and I guess it's not really a hot take. Um, But God, that was so bad. It's like signing Fetty was the one like super successful thing they had done, and it's like, oh no, then you just flushed it down the toilet. Um, I guess my negative hot take is going to be while we're talking about the bullpen is like when you're this bad and you've shown some competence with pitching stuff and you've just been hoarding all these pitchers and trading for relief prospects here, there, and everywhere, and failed starting pitchers become relief pitchers and all this stuff. How they really haven't found anybody in the bullpen. Like they just, it's like, how is the bullpen still this terrible? Because usually teams this bad have like some busted starter that they can throw in there. I mean, I guess you could say, okay, maybe this time next year, Kai Bush is going to be shoving in the seventh inning or something. But you know what I mean? Like, where
Yeah.
is there nothing? You don't have anything? Um,
Again, I think most of their positive pitching stories are in the minor leagues right
yeah,
now.
or the rotation, which
Yeah, outside of yeah, Martin Perez and Shane Smith and
Davis
maybe
Martin
Davis
ish and
Martin.
like yeah, Cannon is. I still think Cannon
Cannon,
is like
I haven't
fine. I
sold
think
on
he's fine.
Cannon yet.
Oh,
I
okay,
haven't sold on
interesting.
Cannon yet.
That's
Again,
very.
I had high hopes for him too. But I don't know that he's ready yet. I don't know that, but I mean, he can say who else are we gonna bring up? I suppose.
No, I guess Cam Boozer looks kind of good so far. Vassell, who
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
strike anyone out.
yeah.
Um, Jordan Leisure, I've never got it. I never understood it. It's just I feel like he's a throw is hard, but so what sort of guy.
Mm.
So no, and I don't like these guys' names. They're annoying. It's not any their fault, but Brandon Isert, Fraser Ellard. What
Yeah.
what am I looking at?
Right.
Vassal sounds like some sort of awful medicated cream. I don't none of this
Yeah.
like at least
I think
Prelander
that's just
Baroa, like that sounded like you could
I
really
think that's
sink your teeth into that one, but
I think that's just us being old, Nick, and like, we're getting a full crop of Coltons and,
Coltons and Cadens and Bradens and
and
Aidens.
Bradens and Colsons and Chases and
No, that's true. I just and I will say as I get
the
older too, it's
Winklemans.
like we and as I get older and have more kids, the relievers come and go so fast that
Mhm.
there's all these NL West all of a sudden come, June, everyone's like, oh yeah, of course, like Tyson McGee, best reliever since Mariano. And I'm like, who? And then you look and it's like, oh yeah, he's got like a ERA of like 0.75 and he's got like a 40% K rate, like who I've never heard for the Padres inevitably. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Bleak times. Bleak
yeah,
times.
yeah, maybe Edgar Carroll will be good. I
Maybe Edgar Carroll will be good. That would be nice. Again, and like let him go behind the plate while while what's his head is hurt. Um, but but really just let him come up and see some major league pitching. Let him see how he does against some big league throwers. Let him get used to that because
Yeah, I mean, like I hope Kyle Teal owns me. I hope he proves that he's actually good. To me, it seems like the reasonable upside is 18th best catcher in baseball, and the floor is way lower than that. I hope he proves me wrong. I got nothing against the guy. Again, Braden Montgomery, same thing. Like if you get two plus regular position players out of that trade and a
Mhm.
utility player, like I'll do this for that's okay, I guess. Crochet's, evidently a mega ace, but I it's I get tired of like, okay, you can listen to a podcast and people be like, well, this, X type of position player, you know what I mean? Like toolsy outfielder, polished college player, any position player type you want, you can say, like the White Sox haven't had any success with that. So how can you assume that they will? It's like, yeah, they haven't had any success developing position players since Aaron Rowand. Like, sure, you can't just give up on trying to generate position players. Otherwise, you should just like fold the franchise. But like I don't like that profile of Kyle Teal. Like I said, like the ceiling is just to me, like, yeah, you steal some 3-win seasons just because it's catcher, but I don't
Hmm.
care. And you found like Matt Tice kind of makes that look stupid to me because these guys are kicking around. You can
Hmm.
have credible catcher play from cheap free agents. You can't do that in other spots. Braden Montgomery, I guess it's like I don't see it ever working, but with this team, but I guess I at least see where it's like he has star upside. So
Hmm.
sure, I think they should be taking more swings like that. But
It
um,
will be it'll be interesting, Nick, as like maybe the next 2 3 years kind of play out to see who the White Sox identify as their core players from all of those people that you just mentioned.
I mean, yeah, because you're really just hoping because Ramos and Colson weren't even that great to
Right.
begin with, and most prospects fail. But
And Colson's
um,
been struggling, isn't that right?
struggling is like putting it too kindly.
Uh-huh.
I think he basically went like 0 for 50 to start the season. It was
Really?
like,
Is he
yeah,
hurt?
he was coming off an injury, I guess. Yeah, through 69 plate appearances, which have not been very nice. 159 batting average,
Oh,
on
honey.
base and slug both begin with a two.
Oh,
Um,
honey.
31 strikeouts in 69 plate appearances, and that's improved over the last like week. It's been abysmal. I mean, I'm hope he's just I guess if Chris Getz stops the team from playing guys injured and rushing guys back from injury, then that'll be a big improvement over the last regime. But no, Montgomery is not.
Well, that would really freaking suck if Colson Montgomery doesn't pan out because I think they're um again putting a lot of their eggs into that basket.
And if you want to, I've talked anybody who I guess who's on this channel has probably heard me complaining about this before. But the Hagen Smith thing the guy who I wanted them to take
Yeah.
at 5 was JJ Weatherholt. And I know this is going to be perversely amusing for me. Like, have you checked in on Hagen Smith or JJ Weatherholt this year?
I have not. What
Okay.
are they doing?
They're both at Birmingham. Or
Okay.
sorry, both at Double A. They're obviously not
Okay.
both at Birmingham. JJ Weatherholt's in wherever St. Louis plays. Um, Hagen Smith got his walks under one an inning. Okay, great. So Hagen Smith's ERA is pretty, but he had the yips for his first few starts and was walking absolutely everybody. Looks like he's had a decent couple outings to corral that.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna
like
say his ERA is not the worst I've ever seen.
the last I checked, his walk rate was like 11 per nine, but now it's come down to 5.6.
Yeah. I'm using
But
the MLB page. They don't have advanced stats.
oh yeah, JJ Weatherholt is hitting 364, 453, 523 in Double A with 5 walks to 6 strikeouts. Where do they have him playing? What position are they defensively? They've been playing him at shortstop. Jesus. Okay. Yeah. So, um,
Well, hey, if Colson doesn't work out, maybe we can finagle something. I don't
yeah, maybe you
know.
can maybe when you
Trade him.
maybe you can trade Noah Schultz for JJ Weatherholt in a few years. Um, so that's my thanks for coming on and letting me bum you out.
Yeah.
But
Man, I'm so bummed about the Clevenger stuff because I was away from my phone. I was parenting. My kids are off school. I'm off work, so I was doing the whole parent thing, trying to
yeah,
get ready for this podcast, and like, oh, I completely missed that news. That really
I'm
sucks.
sorry. At least they
It
did
really does.
DFA him. It's progress for these dopes.
Such a
But
fun few days. Such a fun few days.
I know that they signed Keone Kela, the former Pirates guy, who let me see what the public reporting on his issue was. It wasn't he doesn't have like a DV thing as far as I know,
Hmm.
but he did get suspended by his Mexican league team for discipline problems. So that's the new guy. Um,
Fun.
but oh well.
Oh well.
Jackie, where can people find? I guess is your main source of conversations on Blue Sky is Jaki Jackie dot blue
Yep.
bsky dot social.
That is where you
Uh,
can find me. If I ever do any podcast spots, I do hop around a bunch of White Sox um, podcasts. I did one with Southside Sox where I used to write. Which, funny enough, I stopped writing for Southside Sox because I couldn't stand next that close to a team who would continually employ Mike Clevenger.
Good for you.
Um, so And so when they DFA'd him, I was talking to the editor chief, like, hey, maybe I'll come back if he doesn't clear waivers. And well, okay. So, but
Yeah.
if I ever do any spots, I'm going to be talking about that on my Blue Sky timeline. So that's where you can find all the extracurricular stuff that I can do. Or you can just come hang out with me and talk baseball. You
Yeah.
don't have to be a White Sox fan. And that's actually what I really like about Blue Sky. I was talking to someone else about that because we can't have a White Sox Blue Sky. There aren't enough of us for it to be that fun, right? So we really, I feel like there's just like baseball Blue Sky, and
Yeah.
I really like had to expand my horizons and start talking to other fan bases, and it's been really, really fun. So
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, to be a White Sox fan in 2025, you have to be finding other aspects of the sport to hold your interest because this team ain't it. Um,
definitely not.
but you are a very good example of my sort of slogan of this, like the podcast with the worst production values and the best guests. So
Oh,
thank you so much for joining me. And if you ever want to come back, hopefully it'll be when there's more positives to talk about. But we'll see. Thanks again.
you're welcome.
All right.